evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves, just outside Louisville, Kentucky, and back home in Maryland, John Webster, sports expert, coach, mentor, and all-around good chap.
A few of those, I don't think. I know I ain't a good coach. What's going on, Gary? How you doing?
All right. Just trying to digest another week of sports.
Hey, it's been exciting. Hey, John Pitt, how you doing, man?
Doing good. This is not my favorite time of year as the NFL season comes to an end, but we got the draft coming up in April, so something to look forward to.
You got draft coming up. You
2
got
months of speculation.
Yeah, you got free agency, and then you have the hope all through the summer, and at least through the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season that Dallas is going to go to a Super Bowl. So look at all what you got to look forward to, John.
Yeah, thanks a lot for reminding me.
he wouldn't let it rest, would he, John Pitt? Woo, man. Definitely. Are you in Petticoat Junction today, John? Man, oh man.
Oh boy. But I tell you,
anyway.
that was an exciting Super Bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I tell you what, if I was a betting man, and I didn't really know, and John Pitt and I have talked about props, that kind of thing. There were so many things that were tempting, but I just couldn't bite on anything. The one thing I'm glad that I didn't bite on was the over and under, because I mean when you're talking about 43 points. That, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how many people got soaked on that. But again, that tells you what kind of Super Bowl this was. For all the talk about the quarterbacks and offense, it was really a defensive Super Bowl, even though Matthew Stafford delivered when he was supposed to. He got his moment, he's got his trophy, and he's got a big fat ring being made for him right now. And I think that's but I think the one thing that stands out is that, just that LA defense, they got to Joe Burrow early and often and at the end, and that really made a difference in the game. And I think it really, even before that last play, not the way that they ran that ball. I mean, they probably could have gotten one more play. That's the only regret that I feel for the Bengals, that they didn't get that extra play that they probably wanted to try to get in the field goal range and try to send it to overtime. What do you think?
Well, I think it was a really good game. I think it became a different game once Odell Beckham went out. I think he was on his way to having a very big game. He already had 2 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown. And he was causing a lot of confusion and difficulty for that Bengals secondary. When he went out, the game changed. The Bengals were really shutting down the run, and Los Angeles didn't really have an answer from a pass standpoint. Second half, I tell you what, Gary, in my opinion, I think the defense was playing well, but I think it turned on one play, in my opinion. Aaron Donald was chasing Joe Burrow, and it got close to the sideline. He pushed him out of bounds. Not illegally, he pushed him out of bounds. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati bench got a little upset, and they decided to start jaw-jacking and do a little pushing. And after that LA defense locked in even more. Von Miller started coming from all over the place. Aaron Donald started doing his thing. They ended up with 7 sacks for the game. And I think that was a turning point. They had, I'm not going to say you never stop somebody like Aaron Donald, but they had neutralized him. They had slowed him down. But you woke him up, and it changed the game, in my opinion. It changed the game. And then give credit to Matt Stafford. He kept finding Cooper Kupp on the last drive. I don't know what is wrong with the Cincinnati Bengals. There's only one person on the LA offense who's catching passes, Cooper Kupp. The rest of them have been dropping passes, what have you. the kid that came in for Odell Beckham to start the second half, hits him right in his hands, and then he goes out of his hands. It's an interception. So I give him credit that, they got down the field with connecting with Cooper Kupp. He scored the touchdown to put him ahead to win the game. They deserved it. It was a hard-fought victory, and they pulled it out. They pulled it out. And Cincinnati has nothing to be ashamed of. Nobody wants to finish second. Nobody wants a runner-up trophy. But they played one heck of a game, man. One heck of a game.
Yeah. I mean, I think you mentioned one of the biggest failings for the Bengals was pass protection. I think I had said last week that you've got to keep it around 5 in terms of sacks allowed to have a chance to win this game. Once it went over that, and particularly on the play that Burrow went out, and I can't remember whether that was a sack or whether that was a hurry, whether they just got to him. But I feel like that was another play too, because I think it did take away a little bit of his mobility, what he has left, and that's something going forward. They got to address that line, because this is your franchise guy. This is a guy the NFL is probably going to market as the face of the league at some point. Him, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the Chargers quarterback's name, but Justin Herbert. Yeah, those are going to be the two faces in terms of quarterbacking for the immediate future. And you got to keep Burrow upright. There's a lot ahead for him if you can keep him healthy. Second thing you mentioned about Cooper Kupp, the best receiver on the field, everybody knew it, and you had him in single coverage against Eli Apple, who, they've been calling him, what is it, apple toast, apple butter, whatever, on social media. His mom shut down her account and everything. And on that last play, I just don't know how you just don't give him a little chuck off the line. Deion Sanders, made part of his career with giving him that little shove to slow him down. Cooper Kupp ran free, caught the winning touchdown pass. He, and was MVP of the game. If not the season. Or did I miss Aaron Donald? I'm trying to remember which one now. But I mean, he was the factor. Everybody knew he was going to be the factor, and you had him at single coverage. I mean, you could have brought somebody over to help out, just to make sure he didn't get free like that.
Yeah, I mean, rough game for Bengals. I'll just say this in closing for us on this is that, the Bengals have been getting 4 yards a carry, 5 yards a carry. You have 4th and 1, and you pass. I don't understand it, Gary, but hey.
That's modern football, I mean, I'm a subscriber to the Bill Parcells theory about, you got to push. We can push your guys back 1 yard. If we can't do that, we got no business being on the field. And
no business being there.
Yeah, that's one of those things that the Bengals will be looking at film. And do I think they'll be back? I mean, who knows? We're always quick to predict that they've got the pieces in place, but football is so funny, particularly with free agency, and this offseason in particular, John, is going to be interesting. If you're the Rams, you've got guys that you try to keep. Heck, if you're the Bengals, you got guys that you have to decide whether to keep or let them go. I'm assuming that Eli Apple, probably didn't send his shirts out for dry cleaning. He probably leased his apartment as opposed to bought a place. So, he might be looking for employment. The sad thing about his case is that I think he's a decent cornerback. He's bounced around, but I mean, he just got lit up. He just got lit up. I mean, and those were defendable plays that he got lit up on. And I don't know what he was thinking, at that time. But, having said all that, you wonder where some quarterbacks are going to land, like Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, I've heard, gosh, I'm trying to think. I've heard Indianapolis is a place. Heck, I've even heard Washington as a possible location. You could probably speak to that one, John.
Well, Garoppolo here, I mean, it could happen. Garoppolo going to Indianapolis, you just got to see. It's so many intangibles with this thing, Gary. You get into salary caps and moving players if it's going to be a trade, and everything has to fit now with these salary caps, and it's hard. It's hard to say. Garoppolo, if he came to Washington, I think he could do a good job here. There's no doubt in my mind. I think he could do a good job here. I heard a crazy one today. Aaron Rodgers could go to Green Bay, and then Garoppolo could come. I mean, Aaron Rodgers could go to Denver, and then Garoppolo could come to Green Bay. I don't think it'll ever happen. That's a lot. I mean, you just have some teams that are looking to move some quarterbacks or need a quarterback. San Francisco is going to go with Trey Lance. Indianapolis, they're not really thrilled with Carson Wentz. Washington, of course, is not convinced with Taylor Heineke.
Or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah. And Tennessee is not really enthused now with Tannenbaum, so Tannehill. I call him Tannenbaum.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, they're not excited with him. And then like you said, you got the elephant in the window. Where is Aaron Rodgers going to end up? I think that may be the first domino to fall, because then everything else may fall into place once he goes to wherever he's going to go. That you're looking at some other things like now all of a sudden Arizona's not happy with Kyler Murray. So what happens there? Does he move? I mean, they also heard talk that'd be a great place. Washington be a great place for Kyler Murray. I think what Washington needs to do is figure out what kind of quarterback they want. And what I mean by that is, do you want a quarterback like a Kyler Murray, who is part of he can pass, but he's also a run-pass option kind of quarterback? Or do you want a quarterback who is a drop-back quarterback? I mean, Taylor Heineke is a drop-back quarterback. They have to figure out what they want. And they also have to figure out what type of quarterback works for the personnel that they have right now. They need to look at that and figure that out. I think it'd be an interesting off season. You got that. Aaron Donald said yesterday he's coming back next year, so he's not retiring now. Sean McVay said yesterday he's coming back next year, so he's not retiring now. And now they're looking at trying to run it back. Running it back is a lot harder than people think it will be. For them to get back to a Super Bowl, I think it was great they got there this year. I think it was great they won. Right now, if you ask me today, February 17th, do I think they can run it back? No, I don't think they can run it back. It's just like last year, everybody came into this season thinking that Tampa Bay was going to run it back with Tom Brady. It's hard. And sometimes circumstances get in the way that prevent you from repeating and running it back. So, but I tell you right now, I'm excited about this offseason. I'm excited about some of these moves that are going to happen. And the biggest thing right now is, like you say, the quarterback situations and what people want to do with some of these quarterbacks. I mean, we got to see.
Yeah. In regards to Aaron Rodgers, I'm just going to say this. I'll believe it when I see it. The question I have for anybody, the question I really have for Aaron Rodgers is, if he leaves Green Bay, how many teams can he just go to and just plug and play and make them a competitor right away? I really don't see that. I mean, seriously, there's some good teams that I just can't see him going to Denver and instantly making them a contender.
Well, let me ask you this, Gary. You say you don't see it. You don't see it because of what they will have to give back in order to get them, or you just don't see it, period?
I don't see it, period. I mean, look, a year ago, we went through this dance with him. Will he go? Will he stay? And ultimately, he decided to stay. Some of the things that I've read this week is that, they might include him in their draft plans, whether, for whatever. because, or even some of their free agency plans that if he stays, that he's going to have input on that. I don't know how much power that you want to give him on that, but I think that's a step that, after dealing away a lot of the talent that probably could have got him back to another Super Bowl. I mean, I keep thinking about the fact that several years ago when Randall Cobb left, and I just thought, oh my gosh, that might have been even worse than Jordy Jones leaving. That, you know, when you take like little pieces away from the offense, for whatever reason, that put a lot more on him to try to do things. No, he's not a gunslinger like Brett Favre or anything like that, but you know, you get Randall Cobb back, but you get a Randall Cobb back who's, you know, 3 years older and consequently 3 years slower. His options, you know, as good as his MVP season was, you could also see a guy who was really having to do a whole lot on his own. He needs options. If it helps, you know, keep the rhythm going, involve him in decisions, because that sounds like what he really wants. He wants power. I mean, I think his ability is there. But again, you go to Denver, you think about how much it's going to take to get him there. And I just don't see him just like walking in the door and automatically making them a Super Bowl contender. I just don't. And, you know, Aaron Rodgers has a history of, you know, just milking this thing out, you know, and just getting the, you know, creating whatever kind of narrative just to remain in, you know, in a discussion before he ultimately decides to come home. And like I heard on Fox Sports today, it's like the advice to him was, Aaron, water your own grass. Your grass is greener in Green Bay than anywhere else.
Yeah, like I said, man, the next couple months are going to be very exciting and very, very interesting.
Yeah. So, John, guess what? We got a new number one in college basketball.
Get out of here. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's new, but not so new. You know, Gonzaga's back on top. Nobody's real shocked by that. Auburn's number two. But, you know, this latest change, and again, let's go back to Auburn at first. Auburn is still going to be in the picture at the end. We do not have a dominant team in college basketball right now. I think we have probably a handful of really good teams. Up until Tuesday night, I was going to put Kentucky in there, but, you know, again, Kentucky is one of those teams that when they have everybody playing, they're hard to beat. I mean, they put 107 points on Tennessee last month. Tennessee did not forget that. And I mean, you know, put it on them Tuesday night in Knoxville. But when they lost Ty Washington Jr., they were not the same team. And that's going to be the problem with Kentucky, the question with Kentucky going forward. But again, having said that, do I think Gonzaga's got a chance? Yes. Do I think Auburn has a chance? Yeah. Auburn still, I don't think, has played necessarily its best game, even though they beat Kentucky at home. Bruce Pearl, I think he's got a team much like 2019, the team that went to the Final Four, that they showed all year how good they were. They won the SEC tournament. And then, you know, again, they beat Kentucky to get to the Final Four. So they are a very good squad that hasn't found that top game yet. I don't think Gonzaga is found that top game yet. And oh yeah, let's remember your team, UCLA. I mean, yeah. I mean, that, you know, that's a team that got hot at the right time too. You know, it's one of those things. Again, as a betting man, what is that? You know, you take the favorite or you take the field. I like the field right now because you just don't know what's going to happen, even with Duke, you know, Duke. And it, as much as it pains me to say this as a Maryland grad, but Duke is still Duke. And, you know, they're back to where they used to be just a couple of years ago.
You know, this is going to be an exciting tournament like always. Gonzaga is definitely a number one seed. It's going to be a lot of change and back and forth. If I had to look at some number one seeds right now, Gary, it would be Kentucky, I'm sorry. Ooh, did I say Kentucky? Let's back up real quick. Gonzaga, Auburn, Purdue, and I would go.
Forget Purdue.
And I would go with Kansas Kansas. Those would be my 4 number 1 seeds right now. That Pac-12 is really going back and forth. I watched USC take out UCLA last Saturday night. Arizona State and Arizona, they're just knocking each other off. That's a tough thing. You know, my favorite, you know, I love Notre Dame and everything, every sport. And I watched them last night pull out an overtime win over, who was that? Boston College. Gary, let me tell you how weak the ACC is this year, Gary. Let me give you an example, okay? Notre Dame won last night. They remained in first place in the ACC. They are projected right now, if the NCAA tournament started tomorrow, to be a number 9 seed. Let me say that for you again, Gary. This is an ACC team being Notre Dame. They are in first place, and they are projected to be a number 9 seed. Did you ever think that when you had the Power 5 conferences in basketball, the weakest one would be the ACC? I mean,
no, but we had that situation last spring with Georgia Tech winning the tournament. Remember that?
Yeah.
But now they're in last place in the ACC. I mean, that's it. You know, obviously the league is in a down cycle. I'm a little surprised by the depths that it is sunk to. I mean, you know, I'm right here in Louisville, a program in disarray, and you know has its own issues. In my opinion, it might take years before they can really get back to that contender status. Now, since moving to the ACC, let's just be real, Louisville fans. You all weren't winning a whole lot in the tournament either. I don't think the Cardinals have been past maybe the first or second round since they've been in the ACC. But you know, right now, it's anybody's league. I'm going to say if you know even North Carolina can win this league. They won't, because I still think it's going to be Duke's domain. But as you said about Notre Dame, they are the hottest team right now. They're playing the best ball right now, and they're not even the best team. And of course, them being a number 9 seed really doesn't shock me. I think they'll probably need a couple more quad 1 wins to improve their seeding. I mean, I think they're a tournament team.
They only have one quad 1 game. They only have one. Let me try saying that. Quad 1. There we go. They only have one quad 1 game left. And I think that's against Wake Forest.
Yeah, against Wake Forest. And then they have to run the table in the tournament. They have to win at least twice in the ACC tournament to do that. You know, before we move on, let's talking about quad 1 wins. Rutgers. Let's look at the record. Okay, they beat Illinois
last night.
Before that, they beat Wisconsin, number 15, Ohio State, number 18, and Michigan State, number 19, in successive games. Everybody's still talking about them as a bubble team. I don't see it. How many quad 1 wins, I have to say that slowly too, do you need to prove that you are a tournament team? I know that they're 16-9, and you could say only 16-9, but that is one heck of a murderer's row of teams to beat in a very, very, very competitive conference. That's the kind of record that Maryland wishes it could have.
There are a lot of things that Maryland wishes they could have, Gary. Not a long enough daily deuce to go over everything they need. But Rutgers has really done a good job this year.
And they were supposed to be the weak link in that conference too. Remember that?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not big on Rutgers, but I really hope they get in for everything they've been doing this year. And I think the Big Ten, honestly, is going to send about 8 to 10 teams this year. I honestly do. I mean,
it's a very deep league. Definitely, it might be the deepest league in college basketball right now. If I had to pick, Eight SEC teams, 8 to 9 SEC teams have been projected to go. I'm not real sure about that, but I can kind of see it. I think it's like that middle of the pack that they have to really come on for the, like say the Mississippi states and the Floridas really have to come on to really increase the SEC's profile. But I just don't see it right now. I think it might be 6 teams at best that can get in there. Well, up a level to the NBA. Well, the news. Okay, we can talk about Phoenix, still rolling or whatever. But what are we talking about? As we've talked about several times, the Lakers and Anthony Davis, another injury, unfortunately. Sadly, this one's going to keep him out a couple of weeks. And John, I mean, we're really at a point where I guess he's in his 9th season. You have to wonder whether it might be time for him to pack it in because, or take some time away from the game, because there's something going on with this young man, and he's still young, that you have to wonder about his health, that he just has to let his body heal in some ways. I mean, look at what's happening with Zion Williamson, where he's yet to play, and he's facing possibly another surgery.
Well, both of them, I think, are very unique situations. Let me start with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a proven NBA player, and when he is healthy, is one of the best in the league, Gary. One of the best. I liken what happens to him, unfortunately, and you can understand what this comparison I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the Flintstones. I'm going to go back to the Flintstones. Remember the guy on the Flintstones, Bad Luck Sleprock? Everywhere he walked, there was a rain cloud over his head.
See, I was thinking you were going to pick a human like Bill Walton or somebody, but no, that's a better analogy.
Yeah. So I feel bad. For him because he had. Oh man! If it's going to go wrong, it will go wrong for Anthony. Last night he turns his ankle and it's pretty bad. He's out for another 2 weeks, and it's unfortunate. Zion Williamson, in my opinion, that's a different thing. He is a good pro, but he hasn't, when I say this, he has not proven a lot because he hasn't played a lot. And also, I believe this when he was coming out of college. Zion Williamson's game is very violent. It's very, violent may not be a good word, Gary. I just can't think of another word.
Physical. It is very
physical, and he's very explosive. His jumping, his running, and some with his size and the running and jumping he does, I think it wears on his body. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a trainer. That's just what I think. And I think also for him to come back, he's going to have to lose a little weight to take the pressure off those legs and those knees and those ankles, in order so with his explosion, it doesn't take such a negative impact on him. Now, let me swing back to the Lakers for a second. Let me say this. I'm still in the minority. I'm still thinking they're going to turn it around. And I think they may be able to turn it around without Anthony Davis because LeBron's still there. LeBron will play the 5. If you remember, Gary, about a month ago, when Anthony Davis was out, LeBron played the 5, he played the center, and he played it doggone well.
Oh, yes, he did.
And I'm also in the minority on the next thing I'm going to say. Everybody's been on Russell Westbrook. Everybody's saying he's done, he's not this, he's not that, he's not anything. And I'm going to tell you, I'm still sticking with him. And I think he's going to turn around after the All-Star break. That's my opinion. I think he's going to turn around. I think the Lakers are going to get in the playoffs, and I think they're going to find their stride without Anthony Davis. Because the other thing that disturbs me with Anthony Davis, even though he's one of the best players in the league, he hangs around the three-point line too much, and that's why I couldn't be a coach nowadays, Gary, because I just don't understand how a 7-footer can shoot three-pointers all day long. I want my 7-footer down in the paint doing some work. That's what I want. And that's the thing LeBron James has brought to the table and is done when he plays the five. He goes in there and does the work that a five should be doing all the time, not hanging around the paint, hanging around the three-point line, shooting threes. And I know I'll be told that, when Dante sees this, he'll say, it's typical dad. He's no fun. He wants to go ahead and shut the game down. But that's fine. But that's how it should be played. A 7-footer like him needs to be down there doing some dirty work. That's how it should be played.
John, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, seriously, it makes me pull out what's left of my hair sometimes when you see big men like him. We can go back to, say, Chris Webber, another big guy who just liked to shoot three. Just because you can shoot the three doesn't mean you should shoot the three. That's how I feel about Anthony Davis, that when you're that big, that you've got to use that force, use that body inside, because nobody's going to stop you. That's the reason why LeBron has thrived playing the five, because he is still a big physical specimen at 37 years old, going on 38, and he can still be a physical presence. For whatever people want to say about LeBron in the fourth quarter, or that, he's always looking for a foul or something like that, I'm going to say this. When he goes in the lane, he earns a lot of those fouls that are thrown at him, because I'm telling you, he's physical. And if you look closely, John, and you sat courtside more than a few times, look, he's catching elbows, he's catching bodies, he's catching hip checks. He does not go lightly to the lane. That's what you want your big man to do. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that this is an opportunity for the Lakers to really start going deeper on that bench and really start finding some other roles for guys like Westbrook.
I'm going to stick with Westbrook. I've been with him since the beginning of the season. I've been with him with the Wizards. I was with him with the Rockets and the Thunder. I think he's going to find a way to turn around after this All-Star break. I really believe it, and I think the Lakers are going to find their stride. Now, Laker fans, let me be clear. They're going to find their stride. They're not going to find a championship. That's not going to happen. But they'll find their stride to get to the playoffs. So we'll do that.
Yeah. Well, quickly, we're a week out from the trade deadline, John, and of course, I think since the last time we talked, I'm just going to ask you quickly, who got the better of the Nets-Sixers deal, with the Sixers getting James Harden and the Nets getting Ben Simmons and some other guys too? Who got the best?
I'm going to give you an answer that you're going to say I'm being a jerk, and I don't mean to be a jerk. But right now, neither one of them got the better deal, because James Harden still hadn't played a game. Kyrie Irving is still not able to play at home. Ben Simmons still hadn't put on a pair of tennis shoes to go on a court or go in a weight room. So I can't really say. If you project it out and you and I ask her, who do I think will be better once they get everything together? Maybe Philadelphia right now, but I've always believed Ben Simmons is a talent, a very good talent. And if somebody can get with him and work with him and find a way to communicate with him, so he's not feeling a certain way about situations, that's a heck of a talent to have, Gary. That's somebody that's 6'10" that can play guard, he can rebound, he can pass, he can do a little bit of everything. And hey, the only thing I'll say is this, and again, I'm old and I'm different. If I had Ben Simmons like Philadelphia did, I would have traded him to the Western Conference, because he's going to find his way, and he's going to have an attitude that he wants to prove that he is better than what he was at Philadelphia. Do you want to see that being proven to you 6 times a year with him in the East, or 2 times a year with him being in the West?
Yeah, that was the head scratcher for me with that trade. Not only that he stayed in the same conference, but stayed essentially in the same division. So yeah, you got to figure that out 6 times with him in a new place, with a new outlook on his game, hopefully on life. I hope he gets it together. We got to wrap it up, John. We'll leave it at that. You have the last word, folks. enjoy sports. We thank you for tuning in. Tell your friends and family, you know, where we are on Facebook. Hopefully we'll have some more stories like this next week. I'm pretty sure we will, because sports never, ever goes away, does it, John?
Hey, man, each and every day is a beautiful thing with sports. I wake up to sports. I work during the day and still hear about sports. And then I go to bed looking at sports as well, man. Hey, everybody, enjoy the week. Watch some sports. Have a good time. Have some fun. And we'll see you again next week. Take care, everybody. And take care, John Pitt.